Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by Holly Shand to have a look at Fantasy Football Hub's AI team from GameWeek 9, see how it got on, see if it got a green arrow or not, and then have a look at it for GameWeek 10, see what transfers it's going to do before looking ahead to every single player in the game and ranking them according to Fantasy Football Hub's predicted points across the next 5 game weeks or so, telling you guys who the best players might be, at least according to the data. Holly, how are you doing? How did the AI team get on this week?
I mean, it had a very, very good week, and I'm absolutely going to take it because I was starting to doubt the AI given the performances in recent weeks. But we are on a roll now with the green arrows. This week, ultimately, the change of flag to Saka meant that we brought in Palmer. Obviously, he got a 10-pointer, so we can't complain with that move. And I feel like he's probably the better pick over the next couple of weeks, looking at the fixtures anyway. Some big points elsewhere. He had the brace for Mbermo and the brace for Chris Wood as well, who's at 15% owned. It feels differential when you get a big haul like that from him. We saw returns from all of the front seven bar Rogers, actually. Eze, who've been holding for weeks, who had only had a goal in the opening 8 game weeks, finally got another goal involvement. Haaland feels like he underperformed. I know he got his goal, ended his goal scoring drought, but the XG for him in that game was just incredible. And he could have come away with so much more with those 4 big chances. Obviously, we brought in Vardiol a couple of weeks ago, and that transfer
Wow.
continues to
Yeah.
do well for us. A 9-pointer this week, where, a week where there wasn't that many points to be had for defenders. That felt like a massive, massive win as well. So, yeah, it feels like we're in good shape. We didn't have loads of points on the bench, which has always been frustrating when we've had a strong front 8. Fabianski started as well. He had a 3-pointer on our bench. He looks like maybe he could be number 1 at West Ham going forward, which can present us with some dilemmas maybe in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good week. Up to 2.6 million. Not great at this moment in time, but a lot of people in the community aren't having very strong starts to the season. I mean, me and you both outside the top million. It's not ideal, really, for Game Week 9. You'd want to be inside the top million, I would suggest, in Game Week 9. I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm thinking a little bit too far ahead. But yeah, what do you think like a decent rank is at this time of the season? Obviously, it depends on the season, but just in general.
Yeah, I feel like this adjusts from season to season because
Yeah.
player pool is just so much more engaged now, and that changes year on year, so it becomes increasingly more difficult. I think going into the next international break, being in the top 1 million, is definitely where you want to be, something to build on going into game week 12. But I wouldn't panic if you're not quite there at the moment because it only takes one big week to see you catapulted up the rankings, and everything's quite condensed still anyway. So yeah, patience and not panicking is key.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of people ranked at similar ranks to us. I don't think have used that many chips as well, which some people higher up might have done. I, though, did use my triple captain chip last week. 6 points. Not ideal. But, 2.2 XG or something. You mentioned it when we were talking about Haaland.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot more. I don't regret that move at all. Okay, I've got the team on screen for next week. It's looking good, but there are a couple of flags here. Let's just start with those. Gabriel and Wood are flagged right now.
Yeah, Chris Wood, I think he was icing his leg post coming off against Leicester, but we've already been told that he's fine, so I'm not worried about that one. That'll be a flag that magically disappears come
Okay.
Friday afternoon. Gabriel, I guess we're still waiting for information this week. What I found quite interesting though is our first defensive sub, Wout Faes, is only zero point 0.4 predicted points behind Gabriel for this week. So it could just be a case where we could bench Gabriel, or we've got a strong first sub to come in if needed. The concern is that we've also got Greaves injured on the bench, so
Yeah.
we could quickly run out of men, and no one wants to field just 2 defenders in their side. So yeah, something to keep an eye on at the moment. But obviously, once we've had press conference information from Arteta on Friday, I mean, we can't absolutely trust what he tells us. We know that from past experience, but hopefully things will be a bit clearer. Obviously, Arsenal do play in the League Cup midweek as well, which can give us some clues.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of those that, yeah, if Gabriel's going to be out for maybe one game, you maybe say leave it. But just looking at Faz's fixtures. Don't really want to be playing him well, I mean, I'm not sure I'd even want to be playing him Ipswich away, to be honest. But we'll see what the AI says. It's not up to us. Let's talk as well about a decision that we've had before, which was Semenyo versus Rogers. And once again, Semenyo has high predicted points, and therefore we have to go with it, right?
Yeah, it's another tight call, isn't it? I think probably the reason why the AI is favouring Semenyo is the fact that he has got the home fixture. That definitely helps. Spurs away, though, feels like a game in which you'd expect Aston Villa to score in, given Spurs' defensive record. So it's a difficult balance. When you look at the Man City fixture, it's easy to be put off. But you've got to remember that we saw a couple of weeks ago Bournemouth get the win at home to Arsenal. So you can't back against them necessarily, because they could come up with the goods once again.
Yeah, and Semenyo in that game had a very big chance. Could he? I mean, if that goes in, yeah, could have had a haul, to be honest. But yeah, okay, there we go. The rest of the team looks very good. I don't really think we need to talk about it too much. Yeah, Eze is the one that now, looking at that run of fixtures, he's coming sort of back on the table for non-robot managers, if you like me and you, thinking, oh, okay, actually, for that sort of price, maybe we're remembering again why he was in all of our teams at the start of the season. But yeah, I think even though it's quite early on in the week, I think it is still worth looking at the current recommended transfers. Obviously, this will change depending on news, the press conferences, injuries, etc., as you said. But for now, let's have a look at them. Okay, so the current recommendation for the Fantasy Football Hub's AI team is to bank the transfer.
I'm a little bit concerned about the Arsenal fixtures in general, coupled with the injury. I think a lot of FPL managers will be looking to sell this week, but you do need to weigh up that first defender option and how much it's going to gain you v bringing another player in. I think if things did change in terms of the flag and the severity of the injury for Gabriel, then it may recommend a move. And we look at the top predicted defenders right now. You've got Robertson in there, you've got Aït-Nouri in there as well. So there's plenty of viable moves for the AI to make if needed. But I think being conservative has paid off in FPL this season, having that, determination to hold these assets. So hopefully things will turn out okay and Gabriel will be available, and then we can just roll, because it is a bit scary running out of free transfers to use. We were going to roll last week, then had to sell Saka, and you look at the international break after game week 11 going into game week 12 where there's a fixture swing. Yeah. I mean, I know it's something that I'm aiming for in my own team, to at least have a couple of free transfers coming off that international break, because we know what can happen.
This is the thing, like if Gabriel is going to be fit for game week 12, do you really want to be using, even though you might sacrifice some points short term, like if you're having to play Wout fast, I don't think you want to be using a transfer on him, because that run from 12 for Arsenal is just really, really strong. Through Christmas as well, you think you're banking on players like him and Saka to play a lot of minutes. Probably Saliba as well, to be fair, right? 100%. They'll just tick along, you'd expect, through the busy period. So you don't want to be using a transfer unless you really have to. So I do understand the recommended transfer here is why it is to bank. Yeah, it's one of those. If you're looking at it from a human perspective, you're probably thinking, okay, like next game week after, we're going to be really sacrificing some points there potentially. But who knows? If you take it over like a 10-game week sort of span rather than just a couple of weeks, it might be a different story. But yeah, there we go. That is the recommendation as it stands. Now, that might change, obviously, based on anything. So by Friday, if you want to see what the AI team ends up recommending for itself and what it does, Holly will input that move at 4 p.m. on Friday. Is that time? It's 4 p.m., isn't it?
Yeah, that's
I always forget, but yeah, roughly 4 p.m. Yeah, okay. So yeah, the link to that is down in the description. And also, guys, if you would like to see your own recommended transfers for your personal team, you can sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. There's a 7-day free trial going on right now. Click the link in the description. If you don't like it, try it for this game week and you can cancel it. There you go. You won't cancel it, but you can if you really want to. That is the point of the trial. Okay, but that being said, Holly, let's get into some general players out of the entire player pool for all the different positions for the next few weeks and see who is doing the best according to predicted points. Okay, so let's start with goalkeepers. These are, according to the Hub Predictor, the highest predicted points, the goalkeepers with the highest predicted points from game week 10 to 14. And again, not like too much disparity, but again, it's just kind of based on what I was saying a little bit there with Arsenal. It's Raya is still top, which Raya owners probably are happy to see, given he's been so bad since game week 6 in terms of points. I think it's 4 points since game week 6.
Yeah, I'm one of those managers that brought him in on a wild card in game week 6. What I have noticed this week is there's been very little change across all the positions in terms of predicted points. So I feel like maybe with far enough into the season that the AI's got a big enough sample size to, you know, kind of be able to predict with accuracy what's going to happen. So hopefully we'll get an upturn in form from Raya in the coming weeks. I think, you know, there will be managers out there with Raya who are frustrated, but my biggest piece of advice is that you buy a goalkeeper for the long term. And yeah, there's luck and variance in there, but surely, you know, if we look at the next 10 game weeks, and this is what the AI is doing looking over a longer period of time, Raya should be the highest scoring goalkeeper in the game.
I think that is probably the same for all keepers, really. It's just not really worth making a transfer right now. No matter who you have, you can see like all the goalkeepers are relatively similar in terms of points. So let's move on to defenders, I think. And it's the transfer from a couple of weeks ago in the AI team who is top here, which is encouraging to see. Interestingly, Gabriel is still second despite having that flag, though.
Yeah, and that goes to show that if Gabriel didn't have that flag, we'd maybe see him on top still, which is perhaps a little bit of a surprise. Again, though, if you are wanting to sell Gabriel and you're not wanting funds to go into other positions, the straight swap to Vardiol is obviously on. I don't even mind the double up with Lewis. We also see, though, we've got 3 City players in this top 10. We've also got 3 Liverpool players in the top 10 as well, which isn't what we always see. You look at Liverpool, they've got through those tough fixtures now. We said, didn't we? They haven't been tested yet under Arne Slot. They've played Chelsea, they've played Arsenal, picked up 4 points across those 2 fixtures. I think we can be a bit more bullish on Liverpool now, even when it comes to the defence. Alexander-Arnold's been really unlucky, by the way. I think he's top for expected goal involvements among defenders this season. Just got the 1 assist. I think he's created 4 big chances. Points are coming for him. Like his set piece involvement, like it's all there. It's all going to align. And then Ray and Aït-Nouri we see in there in 6th place, 4.6 million. He's quickly rising in price in the game, and justifiably so. When you look at his attacking output, the returns he's got already, 5 goal involvements in 9 in tough fixtures, by the way. They've got brilliant fixtures now, Wolves. So you think, you know, add a few clean sheets in there, he could be a gem. He is 1 yellow card off a 1-match suspension. So you need to make sure that you've got other decent defenders in your squad for inevitably the week that he'll miss out due to suspension. But yeah, he's, you know, a great buy right now.
Yeah, it's one. I think I mentioned it in the last video we did, where it's like the difference between Trent and Aït-Nouri in terms of predicted points isn't that much at all. And again, we saw like this week, Aït-Nouri massively out. I know maybe it's fortunate because he's not going to score every week, but he is a sort of player. I mean, he's scored a lot of goals already this season. It's one of those where if you are trying to find the money to upgrade a midfielder to another midfielder, perhaps, or just, you know, make a general upgrade across your squad, is it Trent out that you can do for Aït-Nouri, or was that sort of last week? Because now, as you just said, I'm looking at the next 3 for Liverpool, given that they've got through those tougher fixtures. I don't know. Can you sell Trent before this run?
Yeah, I don't think the fixtures are there to sell, are they? Brighton at home, Villa at home, Southampton away. They look really, really appealing.
I don't know. Let's move on to midfielders, because the player that I'm obviously getting at here is Salah.
Yeah.
And just trying to find the money to potentially get him in. He's top as you'd expect, but I think that number is climbing. It seems to be climbing week on week, and obviously now, that run of the next 3 games is excellent, and also he is a very good captaincy choice across these games as well, because, you know, other players don't have as easy fixtures, you could argue. So yeah, what do you think? Salah, 38 points predicted across the next 5.
Yeah, I want him in my team. I think we can trust Liverpool now, and we can trust Salah. I think he's had 6 double-digit hauls and just 2 blanks, which is just ridiculous. Like every time he's on the score sheet, he seems to scoop up the bonus points as well. Are you going to double check Do you not believe me that it's got
No, no,
16
no. I fully
goals?
believe you. I fully believe you.
It's just
I was just like,
incredible.
that is just. I will check actually. Whilst I will check just because that is interesting. That is actually crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird. I feel like because Haaland's in the league now, there's less sort of there's maybe less focus on him as the best player in the league,
Yeah.
which he has been for the last 5 years, along with maybe Harry Kane, I suppose. But like people are less sort of focused on how he's doing each individual week. Maybe because he's not being captained as much in FPL. But yeah,
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
just
if it
looking at it.
can,
You're right. Six hauls, 2 blanks.
yeah.
Insane.
And I mean, if he can keep this scoring form going, like he could have his best ever season in the game. Like we know that he always gets 200 points a season, but I think if you extrapolate his
Yeah.
data, you'd be looking at like a 340 at the minute, which is just ridiculous. I really want Salah
Wow.
in my team right now, and I think I'm prepared to take all funds out of my defense to get him in. Like I've
Really?
been saying for weeks, you can't have Haaland, Salah, and then a Saka or a Palmer, but you can if you don't have a premium defender. And that's what I'm strongly considering, especially because this week, Brighton at home, it is the standout fixture for captaincy, ahead of both Haaland and Palmer. So I'm
Wow.
really, really tempted. And I think
Yeah.
he's only 1.8 predicted points behind Haaland for the next 5 game weeks. He scored more points than any other player
Yeah.
this season. So yeah, I think the 2 weeks I owned him were a week he blanked and a week that he only got 6 points. But yeah, now I'm thinking you've got to have him in.
It's pretty crazy. He got 211 points last year. And obviously there was AFCON, but that was 28 games that he started.
Yeah.
So,
It was
it
his
was,
first significant injury during
yeah,
his time at Liverpool, to be fair to him.
yeah. But still, he played 2,500 minutes, a lot of minutes. He got 30 goal involvements, 211 points. But already in 9 games, he has 84 points. Like he's almost like halfway there already. And as you said, if you do extrapolate what his current scoring form, then yeah, he's on to smash his record by 40 to 50 points. That is how good the start has been.
Are you thinking of him in your team then?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. I would have to lose Haaland to get
Yeah.
him in. I was saying to Holly off camera, I think I made a mistake. I could have gone straight from Saka to Salah last week. I just didn't really realise. I went for Palmer instead, which was fine this week. But yeah, with captaincy, I'm not sure if that might have been a bad decision. Looking at that now, would have liked to change that. Yeah, let us know in the comments down below. Are you breaking up your team to get him in? Are you going to sell Trent then? Is that what you're thinking?
I've not got Trent, so
Oh,
I can sell Gabriel and Foden
okay. I
because
see.
I've got a
I
bit of money
see.
in the bank and get
Got
Salah
you.
and 8 Nori. But I think I'm like 0.3 off. So I'd have to take funds out of another defender and get
Yeah.
Vandenberg to do it. Unless I
Okay.
sold Raya, but I don't really want to do that. Or I could sell Solanke, but I don't feel like I can with the next 2 fixtures. So
Well,
someone's got to be a cash cow somewhere. And I
yeah.
will be using all 3 of my free transfers, which
Cool.
feels a bit scary and a bit indulgent.
We'll come on to Solanke in a second because I'm very interested to hear your thoughts about him. But let's round things off with the three, well, 8th, 9th, and 10th here on the midfielders list. Although I will say it's nice to see Eze still doing well. But yeah, 2 United players in there that now I think are a little bit more potentially eye-catching given the change in management. And then Brennan Johnson is just still just about in the top 10.
Yeah, and I feel like Bruno Fernandes is one of those players that we know his potential in the game. Like you think of his first season and a half at United, and he's the type of player that will come up with a big performance now that there's a change in personnel.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see who exactly is in the dugout by the time United play. But Garnacho, 6.2 million, like he's an absolute bargain. If he can be a consistent starter under the new manager and delivering goals and assists, which we know he can do, like he could make a mockery of that price tag. They've got the fixtures to do it right now, but I feel like you need to be a little bit patient before jumping on, kind of assess things, get the Chelsea at home game out of the way, and then maybe look beyond that in terms of investment.
Okay, let's finally have a look at some forwards. As you said, Haaland is just 1.8 points ahead of predicted points ahead of Salah over the next 5 game weeks. So not a crazy difference there. Maybe one of the lowest we've seen actually across the season. But apart from him, this is where I think it gets tough. Like if you are to drop Haaland down to any other player to then go a midfielder up, so say you're doing it that way, where do you think you'd go? There are so many different options here, and the prices between them are quite different, but the points predictions are all very, very similar, right? Like, I don't know who you necessarily go for.
Yeah, I mean, because the cheap forwards are kind of providing us with plenty of output, it's difficult to invest in that mid-price bracket, isn't it? Isak, though, he's been great since the AI team brought him in, since he returned from injury, really high shot volumes, and probably could have had more than just the one goal. And I think Callum Wilson is still a little bit away. So that's good news for Isak. Watkins is only behind Haaland in terms of big chances this season. Again,
Okay.
I don't think Spurs away is a difficult fixture for him. So again, I mean, you can make a case for any of these forwards, really.
Yeah.
But then you look at the cheap players like Chris Wood, like just how consistent has he been? Kuna's already got 4 goals despite terrible fixtures. You look at their run for the next 8 game weeks, like he could fly. Like he had 19 goal involvements last season. I think fitness is the biggest barrier there. Fulham's fixtures are starting to swing for the better again. Jimenez has returned in every home game, so you'd back him against Brentford at home, who have been not the greatest of defences. And then you look at Brentford from an attacking perspective, they've been incredible. And Burmo now is so template that if you added in Alyssa, you know, you're going to get some great consistency and a bit of differential in terms of climbing ranks when they do play well, which seems to be every game.
Yeah.
I've got Solanke, who's
Yeah, let's talk about him. That's the one. That's like the one player you've not mentioned yet because, what we're both Solanke owners. What are you thinking with him? Because his numbers, I know you're about to. I'm sure you're about to explain. Like, go into them. They've been awful.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, I brought in Jackson on my game week 6 wild card with a plan to give him 2 game weeks and then switch to Solanke. And since then, Jackson has scored a couple of goals and Solanke's done nothing. I think the 60 odd points from Son over the last 2 game weeks hasn't helped Solanke's output. And I feel like if Son comes back in, we may see a different type of performance from Spurs. But yeah, his numbers have been all over the shop. But Villa at home, Ipswich at home, Spurs have been so consistent at home. Obviously, the performances on the road haven't been great, and they're all games that they could have won that they'll be kicking themselves for not winning. But it's that Ipswich at home in game week 11, that score could literally be anything. And I don't want to go into game week 11 and not have a Spurs attacker. So I think Solanke is going to get 2 more weeks in my squad.
Yeah, just looking at their home fixtures here. It's interesting you raised that. So we have 4-0 against Everton, 3-1 against Brentford, and then 4-1 against West Ham. The only fixture the only fixture they haven't scored in was Arsenal at home, which they lost 1-0. But you know, that's a sort of an anything game. Anything can really happen in that sort of game. So yeah, like you're right. Actually, it's the away fixtures where they're much more unpredictable. Oh yeah, you can't. It's like you can't sell him before Villa at home, Ipswich at home. But then can you? Because his numbers are so bad. I don't know. It's one of those.
None of the other options are that explosive.
Yeah.
Like obviously Chris Wood got a brace last week, but he's kind of a 1 goal a game kind of player.
Yeah.
And that can be said for, you know, a lot of the other cheap options as well. So yeah, I think in the short term you can kind of get away with holding. But yeah, game week 12 City away, that's the natural jump off point.
Okay, there we go. That is going to do it for this one. I think we've covered most things there, Holly. Thank you very much. Guys, please get in the comments down below. It's obviously relatively early on in the week and we have injury news to wait for, but just give us a little indication right now as to where your head is at with your transfers and whether or not what you've just seen in this video has sort of helped you in any way or changed your current thinking with what you might be doing. I don't know where I'm at at all, to be honest. I'm obviously going to have to wait for news as we all are, but yeah, there are so many different avenues this week. It's a very, very interesting week. I think it's like a swingy week, perhaps, depending on where you go, what path you take. It could be a difference of a lot of points, which is fun, but also a little bit scary, I would say. But yeah, there we go. Holly, thank you very much as always. You said you're going to be using 3 transfers this week yourself.
Potentially.
Wow.
See how brave I feel come Friday.
Big week. Check all of that out on the website, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.